Friends, I want to take you on a journey tonight. And this journey begins not with me, but with you. Because the question I have is simple. Who are you really? Not who you've been trained to be, not what your job title says, not even the role your family assigned you. I mean your true identity, your built-in nature, the one hidden underneath all the noise. Here's the truth. Very few of us ever wake up to who we really are. We spend too much time comparing ourselves to people walking on the ground, when in fact we were given wings to fly in the sky. And that's why I want to talk about the eagle. Because throughout creation, there is one bird chosen over and over again as a symbol of power, courage, resilience, leadership, and vision. And it's not by accident. Do you know what's interesting? Whenever the Creator wanted to describe his own nature in ways we could comprehend, he never compared himself to a chicken. He never compared himself to a duck. He compared himself to an eagle, because the eagle is one of a kind. But before we touch the eagle, let me remind you of something sobering. I told you earlier that the richest real estate on the face of the earth is not the gold fields, it is not the oil rigs, it is not the diamond mines, it is the cemetery. People died with songs inside their lungs that the world never heard. They died with paintings in their fingertips that never touched a canvas. They died pregnant with books that never left their minds. That is why the graveyard is filled with treasures greater than Fort Knox. And I want to plead with you tonight. Do not add to that wealth. Do not let your dreams suffocate inside you. Do not give the cemetery another invention, another movement, another vision, another life's work that you never unleashed. Live in such a way that when your time is done, you can say, I poured it all out. And there's one bird, and only one, that teaches us how to do this. The eagle. Let me cement the picture with that old story from my island. That man who saw a tree trunk judged it as junk. Remember? Everybody else wanted to burn it, but he dragged it home, picked up a hammer and chisel, and worked through the night. By morning, out of that so-called garbage emerged a golden eagle carving. And suddenly, the same people who called it trash paid thousands to own it. Because value is not on the outside. Value is locked up inside, waiting for the eye of someone willing to release it. Tonight I am that old man, and you are that tree trunk. I see an eagle in you, and part of my task is to walk around, chisel with words, strip away the bark of other people's opinions, cut through the hard wood of your procrastination until the sculpture of your destiny comes into focus. But to really set that eagle free, you got to understand how an eagle operates. And so we turn now to its principles. 7 principles, each one practical, each one rare, each one powerful. Adopt them, and your life will rise. Ignore them, and you'll creep along the ground with pigeons. Principle number 1, eagles fly alone. Have you ever noticed that you can walk outside and see flocks of pigeons, swarms of sparrows, gatherings of ducks, but you never see a flock of eagles? It doesn't happen. Eagles are built for a different altitude. They live at heights where most birds can't breathe. Now, life will trick you into thinking that safety is in numbers. People will tell you, don't stand out, don't go too far, stick with the group, stay safe. But here's the catch. The group is almost always wrong. The group plays it safe and dies ordinary. The flock never changes history. Only the eagle does. And the minute you decide to rise into who you were created to be, loneliness will knock at your door. Family may not clap. Friends may suddenly go silent. Co-workers may whisper, who does she think she is? Neighbors may ridicule you. Some of your closest companions will become your heaviest critics. Why? Because your rise exposes their mediocrity. Your vision makes them uncomfortable. And right there, you've got a choice. Do I shrink back into the flock for company, or do I stretch my wings into loneliness? Let me tell you something. If you need unanimous approval before you rise, you'll never rise. If you need your cousins to validate your dream, you'll never fly. If you need your boss's comfort before you step into your calling, you'll never leave the nest. Eagles fly alone. And here's a funny thing. Once in a while, when you do run into another bird up in that stratosphere, you always smile because you know exactly what you've met. Another eagle. Never a pigeon, never a chicken, not a duck. No bird can reach those heights but an eagle, which means isolation at one level is a doorway to community at a higher one. So don't dread flying solo. Don't curse your isolation seasons. They are proof that you are leaving the company of ground birds and moving into eagle territory. Think of loneliness as altitude training. Up there, the air is thin, but it's clean. And your lungs, your spirit were built for it. Now picture this. You're flapping, awkward, leaving behind a whole conversation of chickens on the ground. They're clucking. What's she doing? Who does he think he is? That's risky. It won't work. And here you are, wings spread in the midst of clouds, realizing this is where I was meant to be all along. Some of you have been so frustrated because your best friends from childhood no longer get you. They're not calling as much. They don't understand your conversations about vision, entrepreneurship, ministry, and leadership. And you think you've changed? Well, you have. You've transitioned species. You're not a pigeon anymore. Don't apologize for outgrowing the flock. If you stay down because you don't want to lose friends, you will betray your own wings. But if you risk the flight, yes, you'll feel lonely for a season, but then you look around and discover a surprising joy. At this height, there are other eagles, other dreamers, other visionaries. That's why conferences like this feel like oxygen, because where you live daily in your workplace or your family, you're surrounded by pigeons. But here, you're in eagle company. So as you take this next season of your life seriously, embrace this first principle deeply. You will have to endure the loneliness of the eagle. But that is not a punishment. That is an invitation. Because what feels like isolation is really elevation. Don't confuse the two. And to seal it, turn to someone near you. Yes, even now. I want you to tell them it is good to be sitting next to an eagle. Now look at them again. And if they didn't say it back with fire in their eyes, politely say, friend, maybe you belong in another row, because this seat is eagle territory. Now, once you've grasped that eagles are willing to fly alone, the second principle comes into view. And it's all about vision. You see, the eagle is known as the bird with the sharpest eyesight. Scientists have tested this and found that an eagle can see a rabbit scurrying across the ground from 5 miles away. Imagine that, 5 miles above. Yet the eye locks onto a moving shape in the grass, and nothing distracts it from the prize. And isn't that exactly the kind of vision we need? How many of us are aware of everything happening, but focused on nothing that truly matters? We scroll endlessly, we listen endlessly, we get caught in 1,000 conversations. We are awake, but without focus. And when you live like that, without focus, your strength evaporates like mist in the Sunday. The eagle doesn't just see, it focuses. It chooses its target, and then something astonishing happens. It tucks its wings and dives like a bullet. The wind may whip its feathers, clouds may blur the view, storm gusts may push against it. None of that matters, because once an eagle eye is fixed, it does not blink, it does not flinch, it does not break away until it strikes. Oh, how I wish more people lived like that. So often, we lose focus halfway down. We start a project and then let criticism sidetrack us. We pursue a vision, but then someone else's doubts blow clouds in our minds. Indy, we pull back. We write the first chapters of a book only to tuck the draft in a drawer. We begin a business idea only to abandon it the first time. Revenue dips. We take one courageous step, then retreat at the sight of resistance, and the dream dies. Not because the winds were too strong, but because our focus was too weak. But the eagle teaches us awareness is wide, but focus is narrow. Keep your eye on one thing. You can't chase 10 rabbits from 5 miles high. You can't become a jack of all trades at altitude. Get your sight back onto your one target. And I speak to someone here who has lost vision this past year. Fatigue blurred your sight. Rejection forced you to fold your wings. People disappointed you. Stormy economic pressure stole your energy. You thought about quitting, and maybe you even whispered to yourself, maybe they were right. Maybe my dream was foolish. But let me be your reminder. Lift your eyes again. Write it down again. Put it back on your horizon. Dream it again. Don't stop flying until you strike. Let's get personal. Some of you set financial goals. You believe in that business, that side hustle, that idea. It started strong. But after 12 months, your downline collapsed, or your sales dwindled, or your team walked out. And here you are, wondering whether it was worth it. Let me borrow the eagle's eyes for you. Don't look at what fell away. Don't look at those who quit. Don't look at the clouds. Keep your target, your why in your focus. This is why eagles succeed. They don't refocus every time a mouse scurries across another bush. They choose a goal and pursue it unshakably. And let me say this to every creator in the room. Your vision is your gift. Don't let people with poor eyesight tell you what they can't see. Don't let people who live at ground level define what is possible at sky level. You were given the gift of seeing something that others say is invisible. And only you can prove its reality by focusing until it manifests. So the second principle is this: sharpen your sight. Refuse distraction. Focus until you strike. Now, principle 3. This one fascinates me every time. Did you know that eagles refuse to eat dead things? They will never scavenge like vultures circling a carcass. They never look for what's spoiling in the Sunday. Their metabolism requires fresh prey, alive, kicking, moving, nutritious. Why is that so powerful? Because so many of us try to survive on stale food. We eat yesterday's gossip. We chew on last year's heartbreak. We rehearse again and again the negative commentary from people who no longer matter. We nibble spoiled meat, and then we wonder why our vision gets poisoned. If you are going to live like an eagle, your feed must be fresh. Fresh dreams, fresh encouragement, fresh information, fresh wisdom. That's why lifelong learning is not optional. That's why inspiration must be renewed every day. That's why you have to guard who speaks into your life, because vultures may circle you, eager to feed you their dead meat of doubt and despair. And if you're careless, you'll digest it. But the eagle says, not me. I'll hunt what's alive, and I'll eat only what's fresh. So what does this look like in your life? It means asking, who are your companions? What conversations are you having? What books are you reading? What podcasts or lectures are filling your ears? What thoughts swirl before you sleep? Are these conversations and contents fresh, or are they rotting? Do they build life or spread decay? I'll tell you frankly, I avoid people who only serve rotting meat. People whose words stink of bitterness, envy, and complaint. People who live off dead news and expired hope. Why? Because I know the nature of my metabolism. It was designed for fresh motivation. And if I dare digest their rot, it'll poison my system. So be ruthless with your diet. Refuse spoiled conversations. Limit the voices of complainers. Choose instead the voices of those who feed you vision, who challenge your wings, who remind you you're an eagle. Every day, you must replenish with something alive, because old inspiration runs down quickly. Yesterday's bread is stale today. What fueled you last year must be replaced with new fuel this year. Think of your vision like metabolism. Without fresh word, fresh fire, fresh perspective, your heart will faint. But with it, you'll have daily energy to soar. So remember, the raven circles carcasses, the vulture feeds on rot, but the eagle, only the living. And you're an eagle. Feed like one. We've seen that eagles are willing to fly alone, that they guard their vision with intensity, and that they feed only on what is fresh and alive. Now we come to the fourth principle, and this one is so practical, it could save you a lifetime of pain. Eagles test before they trust. Do you know how the eagle chooses a mate? This is one of the most fascinating natural rituals you'll ever hear. A female eagle doesn't flutter her feathers, wink at the nearest male, and say, "Well, you look strong. Let's just do this." No, the female eagle is far wiser. She demands proof. She tests. She places the male on trial. Here's what happens. The female will swoop down, grab a twig or small branch in her beak, rise high into the sky, miles high, and then in midair, she drops it. She doesn't explain. She doesn't negotiate. She drops it. The male is watching. If he is interested, if he means to win her heart, he dives after that falling twig like his life depends on it. Faster and faster it falls. Faster and faster he flies. He must catch it before it hits the ground. If he succeeds, he swoops back up, proudly returns the twig to her. But she does not applaud and end the test. She flies higher, drops it again. The cycle repeats. He must catch it again, and again, and again. Hours may pass like this, and she will only relax when she is fully convinced this one can be trusted. He is reliable. He does not give up. He is faithful under pressure. Now, isn't that wisdom? How many heartbreaks, how many betrayals, how many disasters in business and marriage and friendship could have been avoided if we applied this eagle principle? Too many of us give away trust before anyone has earned it. We hand over our hearts, our money, our secrets, our dreams to someone who only smiled nicely or made promises with no proof. And then we cry later, they dropped me, they deceived me. But the truth is, we never tested them before, giving them trust. The eagle says, always test before you trust. If you're a leader building a team, don't give heavy responsibilities immediately. Hand them a twig. Assign a small task. Watch how committed they are. Watch how they respond when things fall fast and pressure rises. If they catch the twig, test again and again. And over time, as they prove faithfulness, the load grows. If they drop it, if they run, if they vanish, better you find out early through twigs than late when your whole vision was tied to them. Even in relationships, this principle protects you. Some people wrap themselves in charm like a costume. They know exactly how to pose, how to flatter. But trouble reveals truth. It's easy to smile in calm weather, but the twig test comes in stormier winds. How do they respond when responsibility falls out of the sky without warning? Do they chase? Do they quit? And friend, if someone consistently drops the twig, don't give them the egg. If someone can't handle small trust, don't hand them greater trust. Remember, the eagle proves loyalty before pairing for life. That's wisdom. You cannot be successful with untested people. Do you feel how freeing this principle is? It reteaches us to steward wisely our time, our vision, our energy. Not everyone who wants to be close has earned the right to be close. Not everyone who asks for a piece of your dream should have one. Test before you trust. Now, let's stretch our wings to the fifth principle. This one makes me laugh every time. Eagles love storms. And you might be thinking, what? That doesn't make sense. Most of us run from storms. True. Every other bird panics, scrambles for cover, looks for a hole, hides under twigs, bands itself in nests as soon as the clouds gather. But the eagle, oh no. The eagle sees the dark mass rising on the horizon and gets excited. It doesn't flap away, it flies toward the storm. Why? Because the eagle has learned secrets no other bird knows. You see, storms bring violent wind currents. And while every other bird is pushed down by those winds, the eagle knows how to stretch its wings, lock its pinions, and let the storm itself lift it. The very thing that terrifies the sparrow empowers the eagle. The same storm that paralyzes chickens becomes a free ride to higher altitudes for the eagle. Wild ducks are hiding. The eagle is resting at heights it couldn't reach without the storm. Friends, that is life in one sentence. What drives one person into panic can carry another person into promotion. The difference is in the mindset. The lesson for us is clear. Don't run from storms. Storms are not always punishments. Often they are promotions dressed in danger. What if the challenge in your life right now, the difficulty, the opposition, the financial squeeze, the change is not designed to bury you, but to grow you? What if this very storm is the only way you'll rise to an altitude that calm breezes could never carry you? Think back on your life for a moment. Not one of you grew strongest during easy days. Your defining moments, your deepest lessons, your resilience came from storms. Success does not carve your soul. Storms do. The fruit of your character came out when the winds howled. And this is why God himself says, I will carry you on eagle's wings. Because leadership, destiny, and calling, they all require that we learn how to leverage resistance. Some of you are in storms right now. Business storms, family storms, emotional storms, financial storms, loss, grief, discouragement. Let me tell you, don't mistake this storm for the end. It's a lift. If you stretch your wings the right way, if you refuse to fold in fear, this storm will give you altitude you could never work for in calm weather. I promise you something. One day, people will look at you soaring and assume it was always easy, always smooth. They'll see what looks like effortless flight, but only you will know the truth. I am riding winds that once terrified me. My scars are my wings. Never resent a storm again. You may not enjoy it, you may cry in it, but you can use it. Refuse to run. Fly into it. Plant your wings in the current. Let it carry you to levels you couldn't flap to by yourself. So now the eagle has taught us, don't give away trust quickly. Test it, test it, test it until loyalty shines. And don't panic at the sight of storms. Leverage them as elevators to higher ground. So we've learned, fly alone if you must. Keep your eyes focused until you strike. Refuse spoiled food. Test before you trust, and embrace storms. That brings us to the sixth principle. An eagle prepares for training. One thing that always surprises me when studying eagles is how much intentionality they put into building the nest. See, most people think a nest is just a heap of sticks, not for an eagle. When the eagle decides to create a home to raise the next generation, it looks for the highest, coldest, most hidden place, a cleft in the rocks, somewhere no predator can climb. And then the building begins with careful detail. The eagle carries sticks and branches. But pay attention, inside that nest are not only feathers and cotton, there are also thorns. Yes, the eagle deliberately weaves sharp thorns into the base, then cushions them with cloth, leaves, wool, and straw. Why? Because the eagle knows something. Comfort is only seasonal. The very nest that shelters eaglets in their infancy must become uncomfortable enough to launch them into destiny. The thorns are insurance that complacency will never become permanent. When eaglets are small, the nest feels cozy, soft, warm, protected. Parents bring them food, life is easy, but then the day comes when Mama Eagle begins yanking up those soft layers, pulling out the feathers, tossing away the comfort. Now the eaglet shuffles and squeaks in pain. What happened? This place used to feel safe, but mama knows it's time for training. It's time to teach flight. And comfort doesn't teach flight. Discomfort does. Some of you know what I'm talking about. You used to be comfortable in your job, comfortable in your relationships, happy in a routine. And recently, it feels like life ripped up the padding. Thorns are poking. Nest is irritating. You can't sit still in it anymore. That's not failure. That's training. That's heaven ripping up the comfort layers to push you out to your wings. The mother eagle goes further. When the eaglets resist leaving, she literally shoves them out of the nest. Imagine little birds flapping, tumbling toward rocks below, chirping in panic. Just before they crash, Father Eagle dives like lightning, catches them on his broad back, and carries them back up. Relief. Phew. Dad's got us. Then drop. He lets them fall again. Up, down, over and over. And somewhere in that cycle of terror, the little bird realizes, wait a second, my wings, they work. Fear shifts into discovery. Panic turns into practice. And the eaglet finally stretches out and finds it was born to fly all along. That's training. That's leadership. That's discipleship, parenting, and mentoring. If you overprotect people, they never grow. If you shelter forever, they stay weak. If you withhold responsibility, they remain half-developed. True love doesn't trap, it trains. A leader does not make people comfortable forever, but one who sometimes pushes them out of the nest so they'll discover their wings. Think about your own journey. How many times did you think God had abandoned you when in fact you were only tumoring for training? How many times did your mentor, your boss, or life itself shove you out? And only later did you realize those moments grew you more than comfort ever could. And the picture gets even better. Eventually, those eaglets learn not only to flap, but to soar. That's what your next season is about. Not just survival, but mastery. Not just fluttering nervously, but stretching wide with confidence. The same wings that once trembled become strong, and the very air that once terrified becomes home. So, the sixth principle of the eagle is this: prepare for training, your own training, and the training of others. If you're a parent, a teacher, a mentor, or leader in any capacity, tear up the comfort enough so they learn to fly. And if you are the one being trained, don't curse the discomfort. Say to yourself, these thorns are my graduation. Discomfort is not the end, it's the beginning of capacity. Now, the seventh and final principle brings this whole thing full circle. It's about renewal. Eagles can live for decades, but as they age, their feathers begin to wear down, their beak becomes dull, and their wings become less efficient. Now, here's what makes them amazing. When that happens, they don't just keel over and die. Instead, the eagle retreats high into a lonely cleft of the rocks where no predator can reach. And there, in solitude, it begins a painful but powerful process. With its own beak, it dares to pluck out old feathers one by one, to break off the hardened beak against a rock, to strip itself bare, exposed, weak, almost like dying. But the eagle waits until fresh feathers grow in, waits until a new beak pushes forth, waits until strength returns. Then, when the process is complete, that eagle emerges renewed and it flies higher than before. Tell me, isn't that extraordinary? No other bird does this. And here's what it means for us. You, too, will face seasons when your strength feels old, when your dreams feel tired, when your energy is gone. Times when ideas that once worked stop working. Times when the vision feels blurry. When courage feels thin. Everyone goes through it. The temptation is either To keep flapping with worn out wings, burning yourself out in exhaustion, or to just surrender and crash. The eagle shows a third way: retreat and renew. That means sometimes you need to shut yourself away, pull back, find solitude, reevaluate, remove outdated habits, shed toxic attitudes, strip away the clutter of old feathers, sit in stillness until clarity comes again, until you feel strength returning, and then mount up again, renewed. The prophet Isaiah borrowed this very image when he wrote, "Those who wait shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint." That is the secret of longevity. The eagle teaches us that you are not finished just because you are tired. You are not finished just because you feel weak. You are not finished because you need a pause. Pausing to renew is not retreat in shame. It's preparation for your next flight. So what do we have now? 7 principles. Fly alone. Protect your vision. Feed on life. Test before you trust. Love storms. Prepare for training. Choose renewal. When you live by these, you live differently. You stop scratching around in dust and dirt with pigeons who can't imagine flight. You refuse to let turbulence scare you back into cages. You say no to rotten food. You stop giving trust away foolishly. You stop cursing storms. You stop mourning over every thorn in your nest. And you stop equating tiredness with failure because you know how to retreat and renew. Do you see it? That is a blueprint for destiny. That's how you die empty instead of full. That's how you avoid joining the graveyard's collection of buried songs, buried business plans, buried ministries, buried friendships, buried breakthroughs. Instead of gifting your treasure to the dirt, you deliver it to the world while you're alive. You soar and you inspire others to soar. So here's my call as we finish. Stop envying pigeons for their crowds. Stop analyzing chickens for their clucking. Stop letting vultures feed you carrion. Lift your eyes. You are not earthbound. You are built for the sky. You are an eagle. Spread your wings. The storm that hissed at you last night will be the wind beneath you tomorrow. The thorn that hurt you last week will be the push that launches you. The loneliness you felt this year was not rejection, it was elevation. Every scar on your wings is proof that you made it through. Every silence in your phone book is proof you climbed higher than they could breathe. The sky is waiting. The wind is waiting. Destiny is waiting. Live like the eagle. Fly where the air is thin but pure, where the ground is far below and your vision is clear, where the few gather who dare to leave the crowd. Live there, and when your time finally comes, you will leave empty, fulfilled, having poured out everything inside. And the graveyard will receive nothing from you because you gave it all away in flight. So I'll leave you with this challenge. Meet me at the top where only eagles fly.